Good afternoon. Neil Palache from the Wealth Creator Company for Women, tuning in on Monday, January the 23rd, 2017. I thank you very much for tuning in today. This is actually my first broadcast of 2017. I hope that you have all had a wonderful first 3 weeks. I just said the 17th. I'm sorry, it's January the 23rd, 2017. And I hope you've all had a great year thus far, and I hope you had a great Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year, and anything else that you celebrated. It was a lot of fun, and I'm sure it was a lot of fun for all of you. So I'm going to make this quick and sweet this morning or this afternoon, and talk about the 4% rule. Now, the 4% rule is all about what you need to be doing, what you need to be thinking about with regard to your retirement and your retirement years and the number of years that your money needs to last, how it's going to last, and to make sure that essentially you've got enough money that you don't live too long. One of the biggest issues that we are all going to be dealing with as we move into retirement is the issue of our money lasting as long as we do, because people are living longer, and therefore there are more years that you will need to provide retirement income. Now, the good news about health is that you could also potentially work longer. Hopefully you're doing something that you really enjoy, so that work is just something that you do and it's fun and no big deal. It doesn't mean to say that you can't run a business, well into your 70s. There's certainly plenty of people doing that. There's opportunities to get jobs and part-time and network marketing income and opening up small businesses and so on and so forth. So there's lots of great opportunity out there for you, and I'm sure that you'll just do fine. So the first thing, there's 5 critical details as written in an article. I took this article from a friend of mine, Kristen Berman. Kristen is with Fraser Financial Group out of Beverly Hills, although she lives out here in my area. And she does a lot of work with the issue of retirement income and guaranteeing that retirement income, making sure that you have a steady amount of income over and during the years that you are retired. So she let me know about this article that was written by her company, and it's called the 4% Rule, and the fact that the 4% Rule overlooks 5 critical details. We're going to talk about those 5 critical details. So why it's saying it overlooks it is because, when you look at the 4% Rule and you say, well, I've got $1 million, 4% of that's 40 grand, so I can use multiples of that, and that should be just fine. In other words, if I've got $2 million, then that's 80 grand. If I've got $3 million, then that's 120 grand, and I should be good to go, right? But it doesn't always work out that way. And number 1 of the 5 is that you've got to look at everything in the context of today's marketplace. And when you look at today's marketplace, you know that the market is somewhat volatile. Now, right now we say, hey, well, volatility is good. It's going up. And if we talk about the stock market, right? I mean, we've been pushing 20,000 on the Dow. So you think, well, that's great. I can put my money and kind of count on that. But then there are other people that are saying that the market is going to take a big hit. Well, we don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but we have to take that into consideration. That can be true in the real estate market. It can be true in the bond market. There's a lot of things out there that have to be taken into consideration. So you've got to look at those ups and downs and make sure that you fully understand the makeup of your portfolio and that everything that you've done and that you have and that you're going to do is fits well with what your future goals are. Number 2, the assumed return on investment. I was talking to a group yesterday, and we were talking about the Rule of 72, and the Rule of 72 essentially says, well, if I take a number, let's say 6%, and I divide that into 72, which is 12, that it'll take 12 years for my money to double. So if I've got $1 million, it'll double to $2 million in 12 years if I'm making 6%, the rule of 72. The problem with that is, of course, that the 6%, number one, can you get 6% in this marketplace? Depending on your risk tolerance, that may or may not be possible. And number two, if you were to get 6%, 6% average is not the same as 6% in each year of those 12 years. You're not going to go 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, and so forth for 12 years. Very unlikely that it's going to work that way unless you've got some kind of guaranteed investment that says, hey, we're going to pay you 6% a year for 12 years, and then you know for sure that's what you're going to get. But I don't think there's such an animal out there at this point. So you've got these ups and downs that occur. You're going to make 2%, 8%, and -2, and +20, and so forth. And the average may be 6%, but at the end of the day, the Rule of 72 does not apply to that up and down volatility, and you're going to end up with quite a different amount of money at the end of that period. So you've got to be cognizant of what is going on and how the returns work and how those returns affect your money and how your money, therefore, can or cannot generate the income that you need in any given year. And do you have the right pieces in place that would allow you to adjust if you need to adjust, which you will. Because you can imagine that if you retire at 65 or even 70 years old, you could live 30 years. During that 30 years, there's going to be plenty of ups and downs, and there's going to be volatility, and you're going to need to make adjustments, just the way it's going to be. So you want to plan for the adjustments, not plan for the best scenario, plan for the worst scenario, and then things hopefully will be better than that, and you'll be good to go. Number three, so we've got number one is the context of today's marketplace. Number two is the assumed rate of return on investment. Number three are the tax burdens. Now, you've got to be cognizant of tax. Now, one might think that given the current administration, that taxes are going to go down. I don't know that, and you don't know that. In terms of the overall picture, taxes are certainly not going down. They are going up. So things have changed, or things were not this way to begin with, which was, hey, I'm going to put money, for instance, away on a tax-deductible, tax-deferred basis, and I'm going to pay less tax when I come out the other end. Why? Because my income's going to be less. But is your income actually going to be less? Are you going to have less money? Well, maybe not, because you need more income and therefore more money to sustain your standard of living, your cost of living, and therefore it's very possible that you may have similar income. And even if it is a little lower, it doesn't mean that your taxes are going to be less. And when you look at, for instance, a 4% return, is that 4% really 4%? Well, no, because in many cases you are going to have tax unless you've got every single penny of your portfolio in tax-exempt, tax-free bonds, for instance, which I'm not so sure is a smart thing to do, but that would be an example of one situation where your entire 4%, if you had 4% bonds across the board, you could have 4% income being generated from those bonds on a complete tax-exempt, tax-free basis. Now, that doesn't account for inflation, so you've certainly got to take that in consideration. And if inflation is 1 or 2 or 3%, then even if your 4% is net, even if there is no tax on that 4%, if you've got a 1% inflation rate, your actual spending power is 3%. If you've got a 2%, it's 2%, 4 minus 2. So it's 4 minus the inflation. It's 4 minus the potential taxes. And in most cases, you will have tax. And if you have a 25% tax on a 4% return, you only have a 3% return. And then if you have a 2% inflation on that, you only have a 1% return on your money. So your spending power is very much eroded, and you certainly need to take into consideration those issues. Number 4, proper margin of safety. What does that mean? Well, that means, again, there are going to be years that you don't have the return on your money that you need in order to generate that income that year. It's all very well talking about averages, but averages are not helpful when in that year you're in a down year and you don't have enough income and you've got to now take out a principal. And you take out a principal, that means the following year you've got less income because you have less money to generate whatever the interest is. So unless the interest the following year goes up dramatically, to offset that money that you have now taken out of principal, you are again not going to have enough income in that following year. So you've got to have the proper margin of safety built into your account. What is it and how is it that your account is going to be safe from the downturns that it will occur in the market, and how are you going to handle that? Now, of course, if you have a 20 or 30% drop in income, you could decide that you're going to spend 20 or 30% less in that income, in that year, excuse me. But that is maybe more difficult than can actually be accomplished. So you've got to have that built into your plan. Now, number 5 is the increased health and longevity. Now, we know that life expectancy tables are based upon the averages of that person's current age. So I'm 54. The average 54-year-old male is going to live X. I actually don't know what that is, but let's say it is 78. Maybe the average 54-year-old woman is 81 or 82. There's a gap between men and women of 3 to 4 to 5 years, depending on the age that you're starting at. But that's how life expectancy is calculated. So because you've got 54-year-olds dying at 54 and at 55 and at 56, and you've got some that are living to 90 and 95 and 98, the average is in the late 70s, maybe it's 80. Again, I would have to look that up, but it's in that range. That also means that there are a bunch of people that are living a lot older than 80, right? Because if it is 80, at 54, that means I'm going to live 26 years. From 80 to 106 is another 26 years, and people are not living till 106 for the most part, which means that most people are living beyond 80. More people are living beyond 80 than not living beyond 80. And therefore, you've got to be cognizant of the fact that if you reach 80, for instance, your life expectancy is probably 10 or 12 years from that point forward. If you reach 70, you're probably going to live on average till you're 85 or 86. So there's a lot of years. That's what I was saying earlier in the broadcast, that you have a lot of years to live, I hope, knock on wood, between 65 and 100. Hopefully you'll live closer to 100. It also means that you will have a lot of income that you need to generate in order to pay all the bills that are necessary in those years. And on the positive side, it also means that you'll have the ability to work a little longer and to make some more money, maybe even into your 80s. That happens, and it's fantastic that you can still be productive and generate income, working income, earned income, into your latter years. And in some cases, it may just simply be necessary. So take a look at all of those issues. Again, you've got the number 1, the context of today's marketplace. Number 2, the assumed rate of return on your investment. Number 3, the tax burdens. Number 4, the proper margin of safety. Number 5, the increased health and longevity. Kristen, as I said, is an expert in this area. You can give her a shout at Kristen Berman at sbcglobal.net or 818-681-7731. She can help you chat more about the different options that are available to you to make sure that you can do what you want to do. She can also, or I can, give you a copy of this article, which is terrific, well written and succinct, all on one page, so you're not reading into analytics and boring yourself half to death, no pun intended. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next Monday. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a buzz at 818-606-7327 or Neil at thewealthcreatorcompany.com, and my website is thewealthcreatorcompany.com or neilsdeals.com. Have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. This is Neil Palache with the Wealth Creator Company for Women. Thanks.